Yo, what is going on, man? I am BeBall Jones. I am simply a basketball trainer that is here to bring you the blueprint, the stories, and the mindset to help you make progress in your game. Appreciate you tuning in. Let's get it.
All right, listen, hold on, time. Get your pen and paper ready. Okay. I had Larry Legend back on again. First half, we give game, or I mean, not me. He gives you game on like a peek into like what's like to be in a pro situation. He's being a strength and conditioning coach at the highest level, the NBA. So he gives you game on like what can we down here, high school, middle school, even a little bit of college, like what can we learn from them about their weightlifting and the programming and stuff they're doing at that level of strength and conditioning. In the second half, we take a little different angle, man. We talk about some of the personal life and things behind the scenes of being a strength and conditioning coach, and dealing with the relationship and the job at the same time, and the possibility of having kids and how that can impact their career. So it's an interesting one, man. Appreciate my boy Larry coming back on here. This was a good one. Hope you enjoy it, man. So thank you for tuning in. But without further ado, I'm gonna get out the way as you hear from my boy Larry. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a legend in the building. We have Larry Legend here, man. Back for number two. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. I'm glad to have you back on the podcast, man. It's good to have you back.
Hey, it's good to be back. Good to be back. It's been a minute. Been a
Yeah,
minute.
it's been a minute, man. I know. Last time we talked, you in a different position,
Hmm.
and you changed around. Things have moved up for you, but we talked about before how you kind of coached at pretty much every level. Well, you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Like you've been strength
Yeah.
conditioning coach at almost every level. So you learned from pros, college, high school, everything, man. So can you kind of break down for me, like just a quick run through of where you've been and as much as you can share, at least?
Yeah. So starting out in college. Well, actually, let's go back before that. Basketball goes back to obviously as a child. But I started coaching when I was in high school. So I was coaching middle school and high school. And then once I graduated high school, I went on to UAB. I was a student, and I was also a student manager. And then I kind of later transitioned into like a strength and conditioning intern and that type of thing.
Mhm.
So starting out at the mid major level, then I left there, went to a Division II school called Tusculum up in Northeast Tennessee. From there, I left and went to Grambling State University, which is a HBCU in northern Louisiana. And then from there, I went to the Phoenix Suns out in Arizona. So it's been a good journey. A lot of things learned. It's been a good ride so far.
All right, so that's what I want to get into, man. Some of the things you've learned being at every level of this, man. So what's been like the one or two key takeaways you've had at each, position, each level that you've been at?
So one takeaway is every day is important, and like you have to really pay attention to detail.
Mhm.
If you're putting together like a project, the project is not just gonna come together on Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? Like the details that you put on Tuesday and Monday and Sunday and everything leading up to those big moments
Mhm.
are truly some of the most important things you can do. So I say all that to say like make every day count. If it's a recovery day, then get the best out of your recovery. And that doesn't mean just lay around and do nothing. But
Yeah.
if it's a day where you're lifting, go hard, push yourself, try to be better. If you're doing an on court workout, like give that workout 100%. When you step on that court, be locked in for, that 45 minutes to an hour, whatever it is, like
Mhm.
give it your all, really focus on the task at hand. And then when you step off the court, you can worry about everything else that you may have going on in life or, within the sport. But like whatever you're doing at that current moment, like be locked in, you know, attention to detail, and just, get the best out of that moment. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, 'cause, man, the older I get, the more that sinks in because you don't have all the free time that you used to have. When
for sure.
you younger, you got 2, 3 hours to waste around in the gym, shoot around. You know how it was when we got the
Yeah,
rec, man. You go to the rec, shoot around by yourself, wait for people to come in.
for
You
sure.
playing there for 2 hours and you wasting time after that. Now you might have 1 or 2 days you can mess around and do that, bro. But
Yep.
man, I gotta get my lift in, hurry up, get that done, boom, go to the job, go to sessions, doing this. Then you got your lady and stuff. You got to go home to her. So I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. It's
man, if I'm lifting,
life.
I'm lifting, bro.
Yeah, it's life happens.
Yeah. So I wish I understood that better when I was younger. Especially the piece about taking your recovery. So if you're gonna recover, then recover. Don't mess around with it because
Yeah,
you hear recover and we think about it as, oh, I'm finna sit in the bed all day. I'm just gonna chill and play 2K or Fortnite, whatever they're playing.
yeah.
So what is a better thing to do? Like, what is a recovery day? An ideal recovery day. What does that look like?
I mean, it depends on what you're truly trying to get out of the day. But a lot of times, if I've been just working out hard, or if a player I'm working with has been like truly just going hard in the gym, going hard on the court. One thing that I may do is I may just prescribe like some light movement. So I mean, it could be something as simple as walking a mile, like you know, just to kind of get a nice brisk walk. Heart rate may come up slightly, but that allows you to kind of get the blood pumping. You know what I'm saying, which promotes recovery. Or they could come in and they could do some type of, I don't want to say yoga based, but like mobility and things like that, where they're actively recovering, they're moving around, but they may not necessarily be, what we call lifting, right, at like high intensities. Um, but that light aerobic movement, those light exercises do help to promote recovery.
All right. And so when you're saying active recovery, break down what's active versus passive recovery for me real quick.
Yeah, so active is anything that's like obviously like you're moving, right? Active. So you're doing things to help promote recovery, whereas something passive, something passive could be like and this is an extreme, but like say you do nothing, right? That could be considered like passive. Like, okay, you're doing, I'm not doing anything today, right? Or, you could, man, I'm trying to think of like a good example, especially like for like your listeners, right? Because it's different at different levels and, the resources that you have, access to, for
Yeah.
recovery,
Yeah.
so, but like, especially at your level, I think kids, if they're going to, be recovering, like it should be something active most times. And then the second thing too is like, and I think this is where like a lot of younger people kind of go wrong, is that a lot of times you may not necessarily need recovery. Like you got to be training pretty hard to need, recovery. I mean, generally, if you eat, those 3 times a day, you eat balanced meals, right? You getting all the colors of the fruits and vegetables, and you getting your, 8 hours of sleep, you'll be recovered.
Yeah.
Like that's if I had to say anything when it comes to recovery, like that's number one. Sleep well, eat well. And
Yeah.
when I tell you that takes care of so much, so much. Eat well, sleep well.
Yeah, man. Because I know when we were kids, bro, you're not thinking about that, man. You're trying to have poor all nighters for no good reason, eating junk food and just stupid stuff all the time. And I think about this a lot the older I get. Like you don't have, like you said, if you don't have to recover if you don't push your body to that point during your workouts.
Yeah,
So if I'm not working out at level 10 all the time, like you said earlier, have my high days and low days,
for
then it's gonna
sure.
make more sense for me to not have to recover and do all this extra detailed, recovery work. If I
Yep.
just train properly, and I can just train, I have to think about recovery. Like you said, the recovery will take place between me sleeping right and eating right. So
Yep.
I think that's the biggest thing I try to tell my kids, man, like don't go to 10 every day. Like give me a 10 today and break it down to a 6 or a 7 and go back up to a 10 if you need to the next day and just fluctuate like that. So um with you being at the pro level though, I know it's kind of difficult to kind of maneuver that because y'all schedule and everything, man. So how can you or how did you kind of fluctuate with the highs and lows with them?
Highs and lows as far as what, like training or what you asking me exactly, so I can give you
With the training. So you got to train, you got lifting everything. So
for
how did
sure.
you kind of play around with that with we got a game. How do we lift when we got a game tomorrow or back to backs and everything?
For sure. So with the high days and low days, so obviously if you have a game, right, that's considered a high day. So generally, you want to train for your starters, your guys who play a lot of minutes, right? You want to train post game, and that's one reason the post game lifts are so big, because that's one big way you can manage your high days and your low days, right? So if I lift after the game, then I'm continuing to make sure that high day is high, and then tomorrow when we should be low, right? Then I can focus on some type of recovery, or maybe it's a light lift, but tomorrow we can ensure that it's low. Versus if we play today and then tomorrow I need to get a big strength lift out of you, now you're looking at 2 high days in a row. So that's the big reason why we have post game lifts.
I know a lot of people probably hearing that and they're like, wait, what? Lift on game day? Like, I'm tired, coach. I'm gonna lift after I done played the full game or I done played most of the game. I gotta lift afterwards. Like, I know that's kind of tripping people up, man, but like you just explained, it makes sense because now your recovery starts a lot sooner right after you get done lifting.
Yep.
And I know I want to say it was when you were with the Suns, that's the first time it was kind of like posted like that. And people kind of tripping over like, oh, why are you listening after the game? They just played. Da, 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 da. It's kind of funny to be like, I got Larry, man. I see him over there, man. He doing his thing, man.
For sure. For sure.
But what was that internal conversation when y'all saw that?
I mean for me, like, I didn't think too much of it. Like, I thought it was cool that obviously, your work is displayed. Because coaching is kind of one of those, it's a thing that's like you go without recognition for a lot of things. So it's cool to be recognized. But at the same time, it's like that's just a part of what we do. So it's like it's not that wasn't like a bizarre moment or anything, right? It was just one of the first times that it was kind of caught, on camera. But that's commonplace for us.
Yeah. I think that's just one of the small examples of like us outside looking in or getting like little peeks into what it's like at the pro level.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee some player was confused by that. Like, hold on, I just saw the Suns. I just saw LeBron and them play a game. And then 15 minutes later, I'm seeing them lift. Like,
Yep.
make that make sense. And I know a lot of little stuff like that we see. They're like, oh, I should be doing that too. But it's like, hold on, like you need to
Yeah.
understand it, man. So, what's like the biggest thing that you kind of before you got to the pro level, you were like, you had an idea of what it's like, but once you got in it, you were like, oh, this is totally different from what I thought it was.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't know. I didn't really necessarily have like expectations for the professional level before I got there. But I will say like the biggest difference is the game schedule, right? Obviously, but like going from where you play 35 games a year to 82 plus the playoffs, like is a drastic difference, and you have to account for that, when training the guys, because the fatigue of the season is one thing, but also just from the season going from October, right? You play in the April and then you're in the playoffs, so like that's long in itself. But then you also have like the games. The games are intense, right? Depending on who your opponent is, like the game could be super draining for some of your athletes. And then the travel. So not only are you playing a lot of games, you playing intense games, but now you're flying late or you're landing somewhere else, super early in the morning. You could potentially have a game that night. It could be a back to back, So like that was probably the biggest difference, or like, eye opener was just like the schedule and like the amount of travel was like mind blowing to me my first season. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I think that's crazy because like like I don't think about it like that. You just think, oh, college season, boom, it's here and gone. Pro season, boom, it's here and gone. Then you start listening, y'all talk about it. I'm like, bro, you literally play like 2 college seasons in your pro season. Because you, especially if you're going deep into the playoffs, man, like the Warriors the past few years. So you
Yeah,
got to play your 82 on top of however many playoff games you got to have. So
yeah,
at least 16 if you go into the championship. Like
yep,
that's tough. So to have your regular double the season and then you got to throw another postseason on top of it, you triple your college season just like that. And I'm like, for any freshman coming in, if you blessed enough to be in that position, I know that's like a mind. I'm gonna say something else, but just an eye-opening experience
for
just
sure,
to be in there, bro. So
for sure. And
I
and
think,
that's one reason you gotta, really take care of your body. You
yeah,
gotta, you gotta be robust enough to, try and last through such a long season.
yeah, man. So let's kind of break down what are some more things we can learn from the pros. We see a lot of stuff on social media. Like I said, we saw the post game lifting. So let's start there, man. Like when it comes to the post game lift, like what are we looking at to do when we're going into our post game lift? So we just got done playing the game. What is the first thing we're going to look at and try to figure out what we're doing?
So I would say first, depending upon how your program is set up, right, and how you're like lifting throughout the week. But generally for us, like a high day, right, post game lift, that's usually like your bigger lifts. For most guys, so that could be some type of squat or some type of hinge or some type of press or some type of pull, right? And generally it is more intense, right? Because we want high and high, game high stress from the lift. We kind of mirror those together.
So we're doing just that squat, or we doing stuff around it too? Like what like an average workout look like?
So, and I know most people hate this answer, but that's where it kind of goes to it depends,
Mm-hmm.
right? Today, if we do it, it may just only be, trap bar deadlift, but the next time we do it, it could be, some type of hinge and a press or hinge and a row, you know what I mean? Or we can add some core in there. So it's kind of all dependent upon, what that guy needs. And also depending upon how the game went and how they feel after the game, that lift can also be tweaked, right?
Okay.
So, so and that's one thing about the pros is I don't want to say you're reactive because you definitely plan things, but at the same time, like you got to listen to your athletes, and also like look at the game data. I think that all that kind of goes into what you do with the guys, right?
Yeah. All right. So let's say I have a high minute player and they play like our average of 85% of the game. Just throw a number out there like that.
Mm-hmm.
What are we looking at for him? So how do we kind of frame around that?
You said he played 85% of the games,
Yeah.
like of the season.
Oh, that specific game right there. So we
Oh,
just
okay,
got
okay,
done playing the game
okay.
today.
So
Played
like
about
the
85%
minutes.
of it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So right. So if he's feeling good, cool. We may go trap bar deadlifts. It could be 3 sets of 3. You know what I'm saying? 3 sets of 4. Generally something lighter on the volume. But those may be heavy, right? It could even be 3 sets of 2, right? But we want it to be, moving some weight, so the intensity is high, right? And then
Okay.
we could potentially pair that with a dumbbell bench, or it could be a landmine press. Like the exercises are endless, right?
Yeah.
So, but and then you may throw some core in there or something like that, and that's kind of what we did, because we kind of followed like a microdosing model versus like your traditional like training models. And what the microdosing does is, allow you to lift more frequently throughout the week. but it helps kind of dissipate the volume intensity so that your guys continue to stay fresh throughout the season.
Yeah, I know Corey was big on that, man. I think he probably was like the grandfather of bringing that to most people. Like, I want to give him his flowers with that, man, because
Yeah, for sure.
I'll say for me, I got it from him.
Yeah,
Like that's the
for
first time I
sure.
heard talking about it.
For sure.
Because you know how I can say that for sure? Because I was trying to Google, YouTube, anything I could about microdose just to learn more about it. And I couldn't find anything. I had to go listen to more podcasts and stuff that from him when I heard him do it.
Yeah.
So I got to give him his flowers with that one, man. I think he's the first person to really make it more mainstream, at least. I'll say that, at least.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. Definitely brought it into the collegiate and, professional levels. Definitely.
yeah. So, shout out to Corey, man. That
Hey,
was
it's my
one of
guy,
the many
man.
things.
It's my guy.
One of the many
Great guy.
things I learned from him. Yeah, he's dope, bro. Like, but yeah, man. So, microdosing is very. I think, man, that's like I'm kind of biased in saying this. I think it's probably like the ultimate workout, just because, programming at least, because you can get a little bit done, but a little bit can be so potent. Like we talked about before, like
Yeah.
get what you got to get in and then get out. So if you microdose, man, a 15-minute session, how you gonna miss that? 20-minute session, how you gonna miss that? You got a little more time? All right, make it 30. Cool. Pre-game, post-game, whatever. No excuses to not work out that day. So if you can microdose, you win it.
For sure.
So
For sure.
I love that, man. So
for sure. And as great as I think microdosing is, at the same time, like, for some coaches it might not work for, some organizations or some, schools or teams. So like, anytime you got athletes, you have to, figure out what works best for that team, you know what I'm saying, at that time,
yeah.
I think as coaches in general, like you should always constantly be evaluating yourself and, making sure that whatever you're doing is the best thing you can possibly be doing for those athletes, and if it's not, then, it changes, but just constant evaluation.
Yeah, I think that's the tough part too. Not to get too much on the coaching side of it, but because in your mind you see what works. So it's like, microdosing work for these players, and I went from college to pro, I went from this pro team to this pro team. It's work. So in your mind, it's like, oh man, like put the flour with the eggs, and I'm keep getting my cake out. Like it's keep working. But it's like, hold on, we got a different kitchen here, and the stove is a little bit different. So now you got to mix it up a different way.
Sure.
I think that's tough sometimes because, like you said, you got the recipe that's working. You don't want to change it up. So it's hard sometimes to adjust and stay open-minded to the new environment that you're in because it's worked before. So, keep cooking. But it's a challenge, brother. It's a challenge.
For sure.
But let's go. Now let's go still doing post-game lifting and middle of the pack type of player. Like they're not getting a whole bunch of minutes, but they didn't play 0 minutes. They're like middle of the pack. So how would that post-game lift look for them?
So generally, I would say it's probably about the same. The only thing is they may be able to handle slightly more volume, right?
Mm.
So they may be able to do 4 sets instead of 3, right? Or they may have an extra core exercise, or just depending on the day, what's going on. But generally, it's about the same.
Okay, I got you. So now let's go pregame lift. I think that was like the next thing that kind of came popularized. Once again, thanks to Corey. And I think that kind of throws people off too because, why are we lifting pregame? Because I'm going to get tired and it's already wearing me out. So why would I want to lift before the game? So break down a pregame lift for me.
So pregame lift, at the end of the day, like the main things you're trying to do is get the body going, get warmed up. Well, let me say this first. You can have pregame like in the morning, right? Like shoot around pregame lift, but you can also have pregame lift like literally like right before the game. But at the end of the day, your goal is A, get the body warm, feeling good, right? B, kind of get the nervous system like revved up, right? And then lastly, like you want to make sure the guys are feeling good, right? Feel good. Hopefully you play good. Like that's what they say. So feel good, play good. But generally, like Pre-game lifts are what I like to do is generally more speed-based things, because you're getting ready to go play a game that is fast, right? So you don't necessarily need to do things that don't prepare you for that speed. So I like to think of it as like a ramp up, right? Anything that I'm doing pre-game should be speed based or higher in velocity.
So once again, give me an example of what a workout could look like. So I got my player. Let's go back to the high minute player. What are we doing for them to get them prepared for the game?
Cool. So quick example, they could come in, right? I may give them some type of foot and ankle exercise, right? And I go from there. I may give them like some type of core, and then generally you want to move fast. So I may do some type of like box step up, or it could be a hang clean, or it could be a snatch. But something fast in nature, right? Or you could do a speed squat, or the options are endless, but pick what you want within that framework. But
Yeah.
the idea is let's get moving fast.
Okay, I got you. So basically getting them revved up, getting them warmed up to where you're not waiting to the game time to say I'm ready to play. We're going to get you ready to play before tip off.
For sure. And the brain is huge, when it comes to sports and playing and force production and all those type of things. Like when the brain is ready to go, like that's when you're truly ready to play.
Man, you don't hear a lot of strength and conditioning coaches talk about the mental side of lifting and training. Like you hear about it when it comes like being mentally tough, and we're gonna hold planks or hold stupid position and stuff for 5 hours, but it's like, all right, cool. But you don't hear them talk about like mentally preparing for the game, man. So what does that look like for you of, getting the athlete mentally prepared for the game before we start?
Well, I would say that depends on the guy. Like some guys would prefer quiet time before. Some guys may want to meditate. Some guys want to lift for preparation. Like that is truly so individualized. But from my side of things, I want to just make sure they're physically prepared, and then I kind of let them handle the mental. Because obviously what we do on a day to day, right, helps with the mental, right. The more you're prepared you are, generally the better you feel about the game, or whatever competition you're going into. But when it comes to like those last minute kind of finishing touches, what do I need up here to be ready? Like it's different with every guy. Some just want to put their headphones on and listen to music. Some want, like I say, some want to be quiet. Some want to meditate. Some want a massage. Like, do what works for you, right? Like that's kind of my approach, And as a coach, I'll tell them that, hey, do what works for you, but at the same time, like, let me know how I can help, and if I can help, So it's kind of it's a two-way conversation with guys, Obviously I can try and recommend things, but at the same time, like what you may love, the next guy may not, so.
Has it ever been tough to get them bought into lifting, into coming to the weight room like that, or has it been pretty smooth with that?
Again, individualized. Like you're gonna have guys who love the weight room. You're never gonna have to, try to get them in there. They'll beat you there, But then you also have guys who will, come in there, but sometimes they need a little push. And then sometimes you have guys who, don't necessarily want to lift at all, But at the end of the day, it's all about the culture you build. And generally, if you build that culture of work and guys trust you and things like that, it's easier for guys to just come in and handle their business. So
When it comes to the guys who kind of like are allergic to the weight room, do you ever like have a conversation with them and try to like get them to understand it? What's that like? What's the relationship or dynamic like getting them in the weight room?
generally, first you need to understand why they don't like it, or why they don't want to be in there. Some of them just don't like to lift weights. Some of them may have had a bad experience with a prior strength coach. You know what I mean? Some of them may feel like they don't need it. So step number one is figuring out why they're avoiding it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say step number two is probably figuring out, okay, how can I introduce them to things that they may like, which will encourage them to come in, right? So like sometimes you got to take baby steps, before you can get them to run. So it's everything's a process, right? So figuring out, okay, they don't like it because of this reason. Okay, cool. Let's try to get in there and do such and such because, this is why you need it. So now it's education. Now I'm educating them on why they need it. Okay. And then that third step is, all right, we're going to start with this, and it may not be anything necessarily intense, right? So you may regress some lifts that you're doing with other players, or, your general program, you may regress it a lot to kind of introduce them or get them comfortable, right? And then you just, progress as you go along.
Progress is not about perfection and being perfect. It's about making growth no matter what. It's about pushing yourself to the limit and beyond those limits. Every challenge that comes your way, you're overcoming them. And it's about striving to become more and doing more. Every single step, every single day, every single dribble is a victory. You've won as long as you're making progress. Because progress is the only goal. So invest into that progress, invest into that dream. Get yourself a reminder that progress is the only goal.
So I think at the high school level and college level, I know it's different, and you got players in there. At high school, it's kind of like get in, bro.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a back and forth. It's not gonna be all this stuff. It's like more of just comply. College is like very similar, but now it's like, hey, scholarship on the line. Unless you're like a first round draft pick type of player, then it's probably a little different dynamic. And so when you are having those conversations with those guys, it's kind of like, especially the position you've been in with the players you've had, it's like, hey, I don't know who you're talking to, bro. Like, I'm all pro, I'm this level scorer, I'm after this many points, I've been an all-star, all this stuff. So how do you, like, I know you said you kind of walk it down with them like that, but was there any level of like, be careful how I talk to them because I could probably be out of here?
I mean, I think you have to look at it like at the end of the day, in the professional level, like we're dealing with, grown men, adults, for the most part.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, number one, you got to earn people's respect, and once you earn people's respect and they understand that everything you're doing is for their benefit, like, bro, I'm here to help you out. I'm here to, extend your career, make sure you can play, 90% of the season, and when they understand that you actually genuinely care about them, like everything else is easier, you know. So I think that's the biggest thing, right? Earning their respect, earning their trust, and I mean, I treat those guys just like I treat anybody else. Like, I treat everybody with respect, like that's how I always been. Like, I treat all the players the same, regardless of, what level they're on, whether you're a starter or you're a bench guy. Like I'm gonna treat you both with the same amount of respect.
Yeah, I think that's the right framework that you got to have. Because I don't think that you can come in there and have like any arrogant mindset, because that's how you don't get people to listen to you. Especially if I don't already know you like that. You come into a new team or whatever. It's already tough. And then you hear a lot of times about how the pro guys have egos and they don't, trust people around them and stuff because people want to use them and everything. So in your position, it's like, bro, I'm here whether you like to or not. I'm trying to help you out. So I think that conversation is a little bit different, and I think it's kind of unique sometimes because like about the same age, you
Yeah.
know. So it's like, bro, we here together, man. Like I ain't tripping off of you. I know you ain't tripping off me. Let's go ahead and get it done, man. So it's kind of fun, man, because you see the dudes, and it's like I was talking to somebody one day. I'm like, bro, this dude graduated the same year as me, and this dude like living a whole different lifestyle, bro. We the same age. I'm just like, it's crazy to think about, man. So it got to be fun, bro. Sometimes to be around the pros like that, man.
Oh, for sure.
It's different.
I mean, at the end of the day, like I'll say, the best thing for me is like being a true lover of like basketball and like the game. Like it's incredible to be able to see high level basketball, every other night up close in person. It's probably one of the most special things. Just being able to see, some of the best skilled players and best athletes, go out and do what they do best on a nightly basis. Like that's truly one of the best parts of the job.
Man, do you ever sit back sometimes and just think about how Lil Larry would feel to be like, yo, I'm sitting right here with these players? I'm like, bro, I have the ability to sit here and be courtside every night to NBA games, man. Would Lil Larry be like tearing up or something? Like, what would Lil Larry feel like, man, to hear this?
Man, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Obviously I've always kind of had, big goals. But at the same time, like I think it'd probably be more like a feeling of just like being proud, right? And just, knowing that you've accomplished some great things to this point, but it's more things to accomplish. You know, it's,
Yeah,
it's a beginning, not the end.
yeah. Because I know sometimes, like, especially in your position, you get caught up sometimes and be like, feel like you made it, and then you get too comfortable and you get complacent,
Yeah.
and then that's when you falling off.
Yeah.
But like sometimes I do that for me. Sometimes I'm like, bro, to know the people I know and be around and stuff like that, man, I'm just like, bro, it's crazy. Like, you tell me 10 years ago I'd have been doing this, like, I want to believe it, man. I ain't even living like that amazing of a life, but it's kind of just humbling sometimes to think back, like Lil B, like, bro, you would have been doing X, Y, and Z, that, and the third. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy sometimes, bro.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Okay. Another time out. Okay. Look, if you got to this point, you have to be enjoying the episode. Like you have to. At this point in the episode, you're enjoying it. So help me help you. Just if you're on Apple right now and you're on your phone, okay, just take your phone, press the subscribe button. It's right there. Just do that with me. Even if on your laptop, take your mouse, boom, click over, boom, do your thing. Now you subscribe. Now you linked in because you don't want to miss the next great episode that I have. But doing stuff like this helps the episode grow, makes the show grow, and the podcast grow so I can keep getting great guests and keep doing great interviews. So if you listen on Apple or Spotify, take a second, look at your phone, press the follow button, okay? And share with a friend or two because you'll find a value in this. You want to have this conversation with your friends so they can have the same value. Now the whole basketball community can grow. All right. Thanks for listening so far. I'm gonna get out your way. Let's get back to the episode. Appreciate you.
how would Lil Larry feel about the fact that you married now, bro? I think about that sometimes too.
I don't know. I think that was probably always one of my goals, so to say. Like, I knew one day I wanted to be married and, eventually, start a family and, that type of thing. So, I don't think I'd necessarily be like shocked at anything, but, um, probably another sense of, pride, like being proud and, being accomplished and more so just, blessed and grateful that, I've, found somebody to, share and spend the rest of my life with, which is, truly something special. So, um, yeah, but definitely grateful.
Man, I think about it sometimes and it's like I think about marriage. I'm like, yeah, it sounds good and everything. Then I think about bro, I'm with you for life. Like this ain't some part-time job. This
Yeah,
ain't here and there when I want to. I'm like
yeah,
stuck with you for life. And I know I got a homeboy. He told me like things change after I do. Like relationship's still gonna be the same for the most part, but she changed a little bit. Life changed a little bit. So how has it been trying to like manage and navigate through? First, you were uh, college level. That's a whole different experience of relationship and everything. Now you're at pro level. I know the schedule's totally different. So what's that been like trying to adjust from college schedule to pro schedule with the relationship and everything?
yeah. I would say, one, it helps that me and my wife have known each other over it's a lot of years, over 10 years, over 10 years. We've been friends, and then we dated, then we got married. So that helps a lot because you're closer, you kind of know each other, but at the same time, she was always around as I was kind of coming up in the coaching world. So she's kind of been there through every stop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but getting adjusted to the professional schedule was, I won't say tough at first, but it was like an adjustment for both of us, because you go from knowing when you'll spend time together to kind of having to plan, when you're going to spend time together. I may be gone 7 days or, for 13 days, or, I'll be here this weekend, but I'll be going the next weekend. Or, in the NBA, you play 3 games a week. So that's 3 nights right there where, we're going to be playing, and, you may not be home till 11 p.m., 10, 11 o'clock, depending on what time the game started, and, if it's home or if it's away and that type of thing. So, I would definitely say it was an adjustment, and it's been a journey. But the love we have for each other, like that's one thing that kind of just helps, because we both it's give and take, and you got to work if you want to make it work. You got to work together, So, but overall, man, it's been great. It's been great.
What's been the toughest part though, man? Because I feel like looking at it on social media, it's like, oh man, that's relationship goals, man. I want to do something like that. But of course, every relationship has its up, its down. Like, what's been the toughest challenge, like adjusting being in a pro life like it is?
Honestly, the probably for us, the biggest adjustment has been being far from our family. Like
Mm.
we're both from Birmingham, Alabama, and a lot of our family is there. So, being across the country from your family and not being able to get home, uh, with one flight, or, over a day drive, like that type of thing. Like that's probably the biggest adjustment, kind of being, away. Um,
Mhm.
and especially at first, you don't necessarily have friends somewhere and things like that. So it's kind of like, y'all all y'all got, we all we got. So that's probably the biggest uh, challenge, I would say,
Did
for
that kind
us.
of make your relationship a little bit stronger? Because, like you said, that's all I got is her, and all she got is me. Did that kind of make y'all stronger? Did it kind of,
For sure, because I mean, you lean on each other for everything. You know,
yeah?
you don't necessarily have other people that you can just call on. Things like that. So yeah, I would say so.
Man, sometimes I just can't see myself doing that, bro. Because it's just like moving away like that and having no family. Like I think about moving away a lot, but to kind of just start over, fresh like that, just me and her. Because I know it's just I don't know, bro. Because I'm still single, so I'm just thinking about stuff through my lens of right now. I'm just like, bro, I got to give up so much
Yeah,
of me, and it's just
yeah,
I'm used to kind of being like a loner. So I'm like, bro, nah, man, I can't do it, man. But one day, I'm gonna be like you, bro. I'm gonna be like, yeah, man, settle down. Got my wife. I know we talked earlier about kids, man. Is that more of while you're active coaching thing, or is that more of like, okay, I'm kind of settled down in coaching, I'm kind of getting off of that, want to do something else? and then have kids? What's the thought process of having kids in the mix?
Eventually I do want to have kids, but I don't think it necessarily has to do anything with me coaching. It's just they come when when we feel like we're ready for them, but not necessarily like where I am at that stage of my career, that type of thing.
Yeah, because I was talking to somebody else before, and they were saying ideally it's more of when they're settled down and kind of not dealing with the NBA schedule of what it is, because already managing a relationship of what they have is a lot, because like you said, you got the late nights, early mornings,
For sure.
gone for a week, 2 weeks, and then adding kids on top of that, just something they didn't kind of want to deal with.
Yeah.
So they were like, once I kind of get out the NBA cycle and life of that scheduling process, then
Yeah.
you can throw kids on top of that because they
Yeah.
have more time to commit to them. So
Sure. And I mean I think it's different for everyone. Like, some people have aspirations for eventually leaving the NBA. Some people want to stay in the NBA forever. So it just depends. And it's tons of people who raise children in both the college
yeah,
side and both the professional side. So I it's just dependent upon you and your support system, and if that's the right time, and that's when God want to bless you with children. So,
you feel like you're ready for kids, man?
yeah, yeah,
You said that like very confident, bro. Like you sure you're ready?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
What's the last time you've been around kids like that?
I don't know, but I've always loved kids. Like, even as like a young teenager, like kid, like I enjoy children. I've always enjoyed doing the little camps with the kids. And like I'm patient. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so. Obviously, also being married now, like, yeah.
This is my single brain still thinking through. I'm just like,
But
it's just
like,
the freedom, bro. I can't give it up, man. Not right now, at least.
it's everything, beautiful, and kind of comes with God's time. Whether it's marriage or career opportunities, children, like everything has its own special time, place, and moment.
And I'm with you. I love kids. I'm training, all that stuff. I was at a camp today, and I'm like, all right, cool. Some of y'all kind of weird, but I still rock with you. Y'all saying crazy stuff, but hey, patient. I'm good with you. But I think about having to be around that all day, every day, and I'm just like, bro, I love my niece. I'm an uncle. Love
Yeah,
my nephew. Love them like crazy. But the fact that I can give you away to your mom and go back home or go back to myself, like, is amazing.
yeah.
I love that.
And
But when I'm the dad, I'm like, no, you stuck with me. I
yeah.
can't do it.
But I think you feel differently when it's your child.
Mm,
You know,
that's true.
and I don't have kids, so I can't say this 100%. But I do feel like you feel differently about your child or your children, than you feel about others. And that's not to say you don't love other people's kids and you won't take care of
Yeah,
them and
yeah.
do the best for them. But like when it comes to like your own blood and your own seed, like I think it's just a different outlook, different feeling.
So what does Dad Larry look like? Is he hands on with the coaching? Is he gonna be hands off? How is he gonna be with the sports life of the kids?
I think a good mix. Like I don't want to be like overbearing, but at the same time,
Mhm.
like, I do want to make sure that I'm, teaching them. But if they playing little league and they got coaches, like, I want them to listen to their coaches, because at the end of the day, like, I don't control your playing time, your coach do. So, make sure you're, out there, listen to your coach and learning and that type of thing.
So when it comes to their physical performance and fitness and stuff,
Yeah,
how you gonna be on that?
I'll be very hands on. Yeah, very,
Hmm.
very, very hands on, and making sure they're learning to train safely and properly first. But also like making sure they enjoy being children. I never want to take the fun out of it. Like
Yeah.
it should never feel forced. Like I want it to always be, fun.
How do you find that balance though? Because I know sometimes we have to like as the older person, your situation we're talking about as the dad, like we need to be doing this, but the kid doesn't want to be doing it. So how do you find that balance of needs versus wants and making it fun and interesting for
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure I can answer it because I don't have kids. So like, it's
them?
it's
Fair.
it's tough to say, what I would or would do. And I think everything is situationally. So like that's kind of tough to answer at this moment.
Mhm.
But one day that they'll come and you know I'll be navigating through it and I'll be able to give you a better a better answer on that one.
Yeah, I think
So
about that a lot sometimes when we think about kids because I don't want to come off as like the know-it-all,
yeah,
but I do have some sense of like this is better for you. I'm not saying it's the best thing, but I know this is better for you than doing that.
for
And I
sure.
think the only thing I can think of is like we're not gonna quit this. So, all right, cool. You don't like piano or you don't like playing the sport. Cool. We're gonna finish the season out. We're gonna finish this month out, whatever it is, but we're not gonna quit it. But as far as like I was saying, like you need to be doing this, I don't know how to push and navigate through that of oh, you don't want to squat, but we need to squat some kind of way. Like we got 15 different variations. Pick one of them, bro. Like it's come on now. So that's the part I kind of struggle with of thinking how do I put the coaching hat on of like we need to be doing this thing, but still
Yeah,
like when dad comes back, you don't want to hate dad because coach was over here
yeah,
making me do something.
yeah. And I think for me that's just it's like I cross the bridge when I get there, you know.
Yeah.
But you got so many years of or time of just changing pampers and feed them and burping them and that type of thing. That those small infancy years where you kind of getting to learn your kid and things like that, and they're getting to learn you. Will better help you navigate, all those situations.
Hmm. What do you feel like the most exciting part of being like a new dad would be, especially if it's while you're in this position of being a coach? Like you're still active in your coaching career. What do you think that'll be like?
Oh, I don't know. I think I mean, honestly, I think I'll be, ecstatic just to be a dad in general. So, as far as the best part, I don't know. I don't know. Good question.
Honestly, I think it'd be like the traveling, bro, because you get to move around a lot, and then being able to have the kids with you, depending on the situation, of course, but like being able to be like, "Yo, man, let's just go to Brooklyn, bro. We got a game against the Nets," or if you're in college level, like, bro, come with me. We finna go to this conference game, or we got this big tournament going on.
Yeah,
Like, I think stuff like that because you get to experience it with the family and with the kids. I think that, in my opinion,
yeah,
that probably the best part.
yeah. And I do think that could, being able to travel and things like that would be like a good part of it. When they get to the age where traveling is, cool. Like, I know people who have kids, and traveling with young children ain't easy. It's not easy. So, but yeah, I think at some point there will be like a cool part of it.
Have you seen, uh, or have you learned anything from the players about how they kind of manage fatherhood and dealing with the pro life? Have you learned something from them? Like, oh, that's kind of dope of like how they do this thing with the life they have.
Um, I would say no, and simply because I think it's very different for coaches and players. When you look at coaches who make maybe in the thousands, you look at players who make in the millions. The resources and different things you have is totally different. you know, and like as a player where you may come in, let's say you're practicing at 12 o'clock. As a player, you may get there at 10, practice for an hour, and then maybe you out at, 2 o'clock. But let's say you come in and work from 10 to 2. But on the coaching side, you could be there from 8 to 4, or 8 to 3. So it's different, like the time is different, the resources. Yeah. So I think what players can do and what coaches can do is slightly different, especially when it comes to like performance or health and medical and performance. I think that's different.
So what about from the other coaches then? Like if you saw anything from them that's like, yo, I think that's amazing how you doing this or how you doing that.
I say the biggest thing is just spending as much time with your family as you can. Like when you can get out, to building out the facility, like get out, spend that time with your family, because your time is so limited. So, so especially at the pro level, so limited. So, make the most of the days you have where it may be off or, whatever. But like, truly enjoy your family, spend time with them. There's opportunities for them to travel or bring them along to a game.
We just kind of came back full circle, man. We talking about get in what you got to get in the weight room, so if you're going in the lift, go in the lift and get out of there. If you're going to recover, get in, get out of there. Now it's on the family side, man. So when you got to work, you work. When you're family, you with family. So get in the gym. You do your 8 to 4, 8 to 3. Once that time hit, hey, y'all gone, I'm gone. Go home to wifey, other kids, go ahead and handle business, man. So we just came full circle, man. Congratulations. You did a good job with that, bro.
You too, man. You too.
Oh, man. Anything else you want to leave with, man? Anything we can learn from the pros or anything going on in your life? You are Larry Legend, bro.
I would just say the biggest advice that I can give anybody listening, especially like young listeners, is like run your own race in life. And what I mean by that is don't get caught up on, what your friends are doing or, athletes you may play with, but you think they're, much better than you, or athletes you play with, you may think they're much worse than you. Like at the end of the day, focus on you. And as long as you're, continue to strive to be the best version of you every day, like that's what's gonna really move the needle for you. Because you can get so lost in measuring yourself to other people. So like make sure you are the measurement. You know what I'm saying? Measure yourself against yourself. Like, truly run your own race.
That's a gem from Larry Legend, people. I hope y'all wrote that down, man. You don't get legendary bars all the time, so I hope they wrote that down, replay it back a couple of times, man. But man, I appreciate you, man.
For sure. Thanks for
having me
back
for part 2.
Thanks for having
Yes, sir.
me.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Maybe next time we get you on here, you'll be able to tell me about what it's like to have the kids and stuff, man.
Hey, who knows, man? Who knows? Who knows?
Nah, man, it was dope having you back, brother.
Appreciate it.
It's been cool to see your growth and everything you've been maneuvering through, bro. Like it's been to see your elevation. Last time we talked, you were an assistant, and then you became head, and it was like when you told me, I'm like, oh snap, bro! Like the boy moving up, man. Like,
and man,
see you, brother.
God is great. God is great.
The greatest, brother. It's been dope, bro.
Sure.
So, let's go ahead and get out of here, man. So, appreciate you coming on, man. If people want to stay in touch with you, see what you got with us to your journey, I'll put the stuff below, man. They can follow you on Instagram. And if y'all want to follow me, I'm just some guy. Don't worry about me, man. But BeBall Jones and everywhere, BeBall Jones. If y'all can, man, like hit them up, be like, yo, appreciate the game, man. Now I got better with pregame lifting and postgame lifting. Thinking about life after playing or as a coach, thinking about all that stuff. So I think that's it, man. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. If whatever other podcasts say, just say I did that. other YouTubers say the same thing, then do it for me too. Do the same thing. But Larry, appreciate you, bro.
For sure, man. Appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you tuning in. See you next time.